Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, either Billy Mitchell or Mark Mitchell allegedly cheated at Donkey Kong. Find out which one by the end of this episode. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host slash possibly alleged cheater, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about Mario Kart coming to mobile and an answer to a long-standing question about the Mushroom Kingdom. And then on Thursday, we're going to be coming back to discuss Switch's online service and everything that could be. So come back for that. But in the meantime, Mark, you possibly alleged cheater, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really well.
Yeah, that's good. Did you watch that Super Bowl?
I did watch the Super Bowl.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, we just gotta stop letting straight white men perform at the halftime show, or at least they have to be accompanied by somebody with a little more flavor.
I just think it needs to be someone who cares that they're performing at the halftime show. Like, I mentioned to Sarah after the show, I was like, I think he's just not cool enough to. Is that crazy? Is it crazy to say Justin Timberlake's not cool enough?
No, I mean, after yesterday's performance, I think anything's on the table.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, look out, Timberlake. We're gunning for you. It's an official Nintendo Cartridge Society stance.
That's right. Another official Nintendo Cartridge Society stance. We're loving this weather.
Oh, yeah. Warm, but not like too warm. Actually, it was a little bit chilly today, come to think of it.
I mean, winter's over, but not over. I don't know.
Look, Mark and I have literally nothing to say about the weather in LA right now. We're saying it's sort of warm, but kind of cold.
Yeah.
Our guest weather today is Edwards Air Force Base in California. Seems like they're just rocking some sort of like mid-70s, sunny, little to no rain, but you know, that's California for you. So
yeah, big ups to our listeners at Edwards Air Force Base.
Yeah, the biggest of ups. Quick update on our Sonic Forces borrowing program. If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces on the Nintendo Switch, you are more than welcome to do so. Just send us an email with your address on it, and I shoot the thing along to you. You play it for a while, send it back to me. It costs you nothing. So you just need to send your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And that whole thing just plays out just like I described it.
It's out to somebody right now, is that right?
That's correct,
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, there's a little bit of a wait, but you know,
good things come to those who wait.
Right. And for free. All right. Mark, you want to get into what we've been playing this week?
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a light video gaming week for me, outside of the greater sphere of Street Fighter V, which I continue to play a lot of, making good on at least one of my 2018 New Year's resolutions. Have I forgotten what the other four are? Maybe.
Well, you and I and everybody else can always go back to that episode.
Which was maybe our first one of the year?
Or last one of last year?
Or it could have been like the third one of this year. Who knows? Yeah, to check those out. But yeah, one of my resolutions was to get really into fighting games this year, which keeps me off of my Nintendo platforms a little bit. But I continue to play Pokemon Crystal, which I am still enjoying. I've remembered that one of the things that I always find frustrating about a Pokemon game is that you are only ever fighting one Pokemon at a time. You only have one out at a time. And so it doesn't feel like a regular, like, party-based RPG to me. Even though you are, like, sending them all out together, you know, there's still, like, it's still one at a time. And I don't know, it always feels like you know as soon as the fight starts how it's going to go. And then you just watch it play out. which is fine, I guess. It's just it's not always the most exciting or engaging thing. What have you been playing?
So I'm still making my way through Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of not given up at trying to like do things cleanly,
Mm-hmm.
but because you can die and it just respawns you and there's like very little friction to that.
Yeah.
I just sometimes will find myself just like throwing the character at a problem over and over.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just like,
Consequence free.
yeah, consequence free.
Right.
So I'm like brute forcing my way through some of these levels, I guess.
I think that's how the game is intended to be played, though, right?
It's really fun. I just did there's like a haunted hotel type level that I just finished. And then I've also been playing Stardew Valley. It was actually one of those things where I turned on my Switch with the intention of playing Celeste, but I was in Stardew Valley and I was like, oh, I don't want to lose my progress for this day. I was like down in the mine.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'll just like finish this. And then I ended up getting caught up in that.
Right, and then it's like 3 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much content. I'm about a year through like in-game time in my game for just the first year. And for a while I was like, should I just start over and like try a different terrain and do all that kind of stuff? But there's so much in this game that I have only scratched the surface of. Like, I just barely went to the desert for the first time.
Yeah, sure.
So I like barely figured out how you could do that, and that there's a whole another mine in there, and just like all this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I haven't really done anything at the I've only just started what is it, like the community center?
Yeah, sure, where they're like little magical creatures
Yeah,
inside
and I've
like little portals.
and
Yeah.
when you bring certain items, then you can like open up new stuff. And I kind of played around with that, but now I'm like more focused on doing it. And so yeah, there's no point in restarting because I would have to do
You'd
all
have to
of this
build
over
back up,
again.
yeah.
So yeah, that was basically the gaming time I had.
I love that Stardew Valley for you is like fulfilling the promise of Stardew Valley, right?
Yeah,
that it's
absolutely.
Like just keep coming back, just keep making what you want of the experience.
Well, and I find it much more pleasant to come back to than after a while away than something like Animal Crossing, because there are no consequences for missing time.
Sure, because
Stardew Valley.
you're not missing that time.
Yeah, it just picks up right where you left it versus Animal Crossing where it makes you feel bad for not checking in.
That's why I stopped paying attention to my Nintendo.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's like, oh, I left her alone for 4 days. I know I'm going to go back and she's going to be mad at me.
Yeah, and so I get why they do it, but sometimes it makes returning to the game a lot less fun.
Yeah. So not a game I played, but I did watch the video on Twitch of Twitch user Cheese05 beating his previous Super Mario 64 70-star run like speed record. It comes in at like 43 minutes or something like that. It's not it's one of these runs it's not like glitch free. Because he's doing some things where you're like, oh, he's clearly like clipping through the wall there.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a trick with like you throw a bomb and then you grab it again and jump backwards, and it sort of like propels Mario further backwards. But so to get 70 stars, he's not skipping any of the Bowser fights or any of like the real gates in the game. But like, man, it is amazing to watch someone at expert level just like command those levels and get like all 7 stars in a level in like 4 minutes. And it's like, how are you doing it?
Speedrunning is so cool. It's one of those things. It's like if I wanted to become a professional football player today, it's like, no, I'm too old. My fingers don't work that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just don't have the stamina.
Your fingers don't work that way. Your eyes don't work that way. Your brain doesn't work. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 5. And like every day I'm like, God, these young kids.
Yeah.
And their quick reflexes.
But it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's what we've been playing this last week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right. So today, February 6th, few games come out on the Switch eShop. You have Dandara, Black Hole, Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition, and Mercenaries Saga Chronicles.
Dandara is supposed to be something, right?
Yeah, it seems to be something that people are excited about. I can't speak anymore. I can't speak to it any more than that.
No,
I've just seen the
neither
name
can
a
I.
lot.
Shoot. I feel like we failed here, Mark.
Yeah.
We'll report back on Dandara next week.
Yeah, or maybe we won't. We'll see.
Good point.
On Wednesday, The Dark Side Detective comes out on Switch eShop. On Thursday, but Disc Jam, Atomic, Run Gun, Jump Gun, Aegis Defenders, Aperion, Cyberstorm, Arcade Archives, Crazy Climber, and another Neo Geo game, 2020 Super Baseball.
Seems like a bumper crop of like no one cares, right?
I mean, who knows?
We have an abundance.
I mean, who knows, because
we don't know Dandara.
We seem to care about Dandara, but we don't know anything about it. So there might be something in there that we care about.
I don't mean to misrepresent us. I don't know that we care about Dandara, but we know that there are people who care about Dandara, and we care about that.
Right? Yeah, we care about seeming. I mean, it's the whole high school thing. We care about seeming like we care, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's the whole high school thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then on Friday,
here's the real juice.
Dragon Quest Builders comes out for Switch, the first one. And I am interested and excited about this game after playing the demo. I don't know that I'm going to pick it up.
What?
Right now, only because I'm assuming it'll go on sale later, maybe when I have more time to play it, or I'll just wait for the second one to come out.
Do we know the second one is coming out on Switch?
We do, because it was announced by Square Enix when the game was announced. And that's also when they said the Builders was coming west. So, or maybe that it was coming to Switch at all. So, yes, we do know the second one is coming, at least in Japan. Maybe we know for sure it's coming here. I assume it would if the first one is. Basically, I'm interested in this game, but I don't know when I will be.
But not that interested.
Well, not enough to throw down like $50 or whatever for it right now.
Probably 60. It's probably a full game.
And like we learned from Resident Evil Chronicles is that or Revelations.
Yes. Chronicles is the light gun.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Look, we recorded the last one of these 8 days ago, and it feels like a million years ago.
Feels like forever. Yeah. Mark, what's happening?
I don't know. So, Resident Evil Revelations 2 was so much better than the first game, and I, like a sucker, bought the first game, not the second one.
Right.
I don't want to make that mistake again, so I might as well wait for Dragon Quest Builders 2 to come out, just like I'll probably end up buying Bayonetta 2
and not
the first one.
Bayonetta
Although you can
1.
get both for $60, so live and learn.
Or refuse to learn.
Or like learn and don't apply what you've learned.
There you go. There we go. Learn, make the same mistakes over and over again anyway. All right, speaking of making the same mistakes over and over again anyway, Mark, let's move into the next segment. And it's time for a regular segment on the show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, let's talk about that Solo trailer.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo, a Star Wars story. Not Han Solo.
No. Don't love the name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the name, but I think we've talked about this on this show. What's a Star Wars movie with a good name?
Yeah, I mean, Rogue One is pretty good.
Rogue One is pretty good.
But I actually think what I dislike about the name is the word mark. How it's like Solo in huge letters.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of letters in there.
The a Star Wars story part of it, like, I don't know. It looks wrong. It looks unbalanced.
It does. Yeah, you're right. It looks like there's just not enough letters.
Yeah.
Not enough letters. Not enough words.
I'm hungry for letters.
Yeah, we need them letters.
Give me that alphabet soup.
Mm-hmm.
But we've come here not to discuss the name.
Right. I mean, the name is part of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's not leave it. It's not verboten. We can discuss it if we must.
But we have.
Right. Where is your hype level just generally regarding this movie?
Okay, so I feel neutral. And
Yeah.
I think I will be more interested in seeing it closer to May. We still feel real close to The Last Jedi,
Yeah.
a movie that I liked, but I feel like I've had my fill of Star Wars
Yeah.
for the year. That's what I'm confused as to why they didn't push this one back to December, and so we just get a Star Wars film a year. That makes more sense to me than having this one come out like 6 months later.
Right. And then presumably we're going to wait another 18 months for another Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Why?
Yeah, I don't.
What is that?
They're oh my gosh.
Look, it's been 8 days.
Their 2018, they're like December or November must already be really packed. Like Disney's release schedule otherwise.
Yeah, I guess so, but like I don't know. I feel like Star Wars is its own thing, you know.
Yeah.
And also, just like for me, going to see Star Wars on Christmas, like with my family, like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That is like the perfect equation. What movie can the whole family go see together?
Star Wars.
Great. Am I going to see my family over Memorial Day? I don't think so.
All this being said, I thought the trailer looked fun. It looked different than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be more funny.
Yeah, it does not appear to be super funny. But I feel like humor has been a big part of the more recent Star Wars movies. So it would be weird if, especially given that the movie is directed or was started to be directed by Lord Miller. So like, there's got to be some of that DNA in the movie still, and like Donald Glover's a funny guy.
Right. I don't think it'll be not funny.
And I shouldn't sell Ron Howard short, I guess. Right?
Right.
He was on Happy Days.
He directed Ed TV.
There. This is all true.
The trailer kind of makes it look like a heist movie, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Woody Harrelson's character.
He says he's putting together a team.
Yes. I am so on board for this idea, like a Star Wars like Western heist movie. I think that's a great idea. But
oh no,
anytime they've tried to, anytime I feel like when the last time we saw this sort of like pseudo heist genre movie was with Ant-Man, which was a fine movie but a terrible heist film.
Yeah, like doesn't hold its water as a heist film.
Yeah,
but as like a B superhero movie,
totally fine. And Solo could do worse than that. But I would love to see a good like Ocean's 11 style heist movie successfully executed in a genre film.
Yeah,
and I'm struggling to think of one if we have seen one.
Well, I don't think we have. But what it should be is all the bounty hunters in The Empire Strikes Back, all of them put together in like a Dirty Dozen kind of situation where they all have to work together to like heist something out.
Great. I love it.
I love that. Let's see that.
Yeah, let's see that.
Now, never mind.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
We will never know. We were accompanied today by violinist Robert Rescott.
Like a Scooby-Doo name.
Yeah, Robert Rescott. That means we're in the news.
So the Project Octopath Traveler team released a video detailing how they are incorporating fans' criticism from the demo version of the game. Did you play the demo?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Did you then get a survey?
I got the survey.
But you didn't fill it out.
That's right.
I got the survey and I was basically like, I loved it. I loved everything about it. I was not helpful in any way.
They incorporated all of that criticism.
Yeah. But presumably other more thoughtful survey takers left some notes, and in the video they like talk about some of the things that they're changing, like the speed of battle and just like the contrast in the art style, so you can more clearly see where like paths are and stuff. And all the things they were talking about in the video that they're changing, I was like, oh yeah, that would be nice. I didn't really like that. I should have. Like, right. That would have been a good thing to include in my survey.
It's weird to play a video game and then have homework about it, right?
Yeah, but I actually kind of like it.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of times on forums or Twitter or wherever, we're just like shouting into the void.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody is paying attention. But I do, because
it's nice to have that like direct confirmation that like this specific complaint that everyone's saying like, "Oh, I wish you could move faster around the world," and they're like, "Okay, here you
Yeah,
go."
I think so. I mean, you could contrast that with the way the community feels about like Destiny 2 right now,
Sure.
where they feel like all their complaints are either not really being addressed or they're being addressed so slowly as to like not really make any difference.
Right, or like how the Street Fighter 5 community is like, "Hey, maybe Abigail should be nerfed a little bit. Like he's maybe too tough right
Yeah,
now."
exactly like that. But they send out these surveys for a lot of games, or at least maybe because I purchase all mine digitally that I get them more often. But
So
I answer surveys for like a ton of stuff.
I've seen that too. The thing that makes this different is that it's the demo for the game. And
Right,
so,
they're like, we're going to change
Mhm.
this instead of like, what did you think of this game that's already
Tough.
completed?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you. Here's some like my Nintendo coins that you can use on nothing Switch related.
Oh my gosh.
have some-
Someday. Mark, hey.
Yeah,
Someday.
allegedly. Nintendo held their Labo event in New York City this weekend, but remained weirdly tight-lipped about which of their studios is actually responsible for either the software or cardboard building components of Labo.
A little bit of a mystery here.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out on April 20th when we look at the credits. There was a rumor, and I can't stress this enough that it's just a rumor.
Right.
That
Would you go so far as to say that it is unfounded panic?
Unfounded, possible. Yes, I would go so far as to say that Retro.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
is possibly responsible for it.
Yeah, that feels like unfounded panic for me, though, right? That like
Yes.
Fans of Retro and of the Metroid Prime trilogy are like, what would my worst nightmare be? It would be if Retro had been toiling away on this baby toy for babies instead of a cool gun game.
Yeah, and
for me and my cool gun friends.
I think whatever Retro is working on, those people are going to be disappointed.
Yes. Yeah,
they're not going to make Raven Blade. They're not going back and making Raven Blade. That's never going to happen.
Mark, don't tell me about Raven Blade.
That may not even be what it was called. A lot of news came out of the Nintendo's earnings call last week, including Nintendo announced Mario Kart Tour, a new entry in the Mario Kart franchise for mobile platforms. The game is due out in March. Is this true? I'm just now reading it. Is it due out in March, or is it due out the fiscal year ending March 2019?
I believed the former, but I suppose I could be wrong about that.
Oh, okay.
Let me look it up. What are your thoughts about Mario Kart on mobile?
Again, it's one of those things where I don't have very much vision for this because I'm trying to imagine what this could be that's just not a mobile Mario Kart game.
So you are correct. Anywhere between April, yes. So next financial year. So anytime starting April of this year through March of next year. So it could be a while.
Yeah. So interesting that they're announcing this now,
right?
When with such a broad release date.
Yeah. Arguably not even a release date.
Yeah, window, a launch window. But yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing how this is not just a mobile Mario Kart game, which is not necessarily something I'm complaining about, other than Nintendo's mobile efforts have just kind of are serviceable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see what I think. It all comes down to control, right? Like, how are you playing Mario Kart? Am I like steering it like a steering wheel? Is it touchscreen controls?
And steering it like a steering wheel actually does make sense on a mobile phone.
Sure, I mean,
you'd hold it like a Wiimote, kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, the weird thing is like you're moving the screen with it. Like if you're trying to do like a 90-degree like quick turn, like you got to move your whole body with it. So yeah, I think it is all going to come down to that. If like they can nail control, then it can be like a limited, thing with like 4 circuits or whatever and be fine.
And like, what does monetization look like?
What indeed?
They also, Nintendo and Illumination Studios officially announced their partnership to make an animated Super Mario Brothers movie with Shigeru Miyamoto serving as producer on the project. So we had talked about this a little bit because there were rumors that Illumination Entertainment was going to be the one that made an animated Mario movie. It makes sense. because Nintendo's working closely with Universal on Super Nintendo World for the Universal Studios theme parks.
Right.
Illumination is part of Universal.
And so all the pieces connect.
Yeah, so it makes sense. This does not fill me with much enthusiasm for the project because I think their movies are generally bad.
Yeah, I liked the first Despicable Me movie just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then have, I guess, not seen any of them since.
I saw Secret Lives of Pets
Mm-hmm.
and thought it was pretty disappointing and bad.
Yeah.
It was like random scenes all connected by montages to pop songs that I didn't care about.
Oh, man. I don't look, and Sing also seemed like it was basically that, except
that movie looked like a nightmare.
That, oh man, when there were Sing posters up everywhere in LA, like those giant building size advertisements, I hated it. Like it did like a nightmare. Mark, yeah, I think you had it right the first time. I shouldn't try to improve on that. It looked like a nightmare.
I mean, we've seen Black Mirror. We know what dystopians look like. They look like that.
They look like Los Angeles when it's heavily promoting Sing.
Switch's online service has a release date. It is due out in September of 2018 and promises players access to, quote, online gameplay, lobbies, voice chat, and a, quote.
Yeah, quote within the quote.
classic game selection, end quotes, all of them. We'll be talking more about this on Thursday.
Right. So this is our topic for the Thursday episode is the Nintendo Switch online structure. I think we can just move on from there.
Okay. The Switch continues to sell incredibly well. Nintendo shipped 14.86 million Switch consoles by the end of December. Not only does this eclipse the Wii U's entire lifetime sales of 13.56 million, it puts the console on pace to be the fastest selling console ever. For comparison, the Wii had sold 13.7 million units, and the PS4 had sold 13.4 million.
And that's in their first year, so that's even truncating the last 2 months of the, I guess, year here for the Switch to round that out.
Software is pretty crazy as well. Super Mario Odyssey sold 9.07 million copies. That's in 2 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 7.33 million copies. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has sold 6.7 million copies. And Splatoon 2 sold 4.91 million copies.
That's a lot of software.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it makes sense because Mario greater than Zelda, but it is surprising to me that Odyssey outsold Zelda by that much.
Well, how quickly?
Yes. Well, and I mean, even just at all, like knowing what Zelda's reputation is, and like the fact that for a little while, Breath of the Wild on Switch sales were outpacing the Switch itself, that people were either buying 2 copies or buying a copy before they had their Switch. And, you know, it is like trumpeted as one of the greatest games ever made, which I suppose Odyssey also is. But, I mean, just what a banner year for Nintendo, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. When Rime launched on Switch last year, it was plagued with numerous performance issues. Developer Greybox announced on their website that they have submitted a patch to Nintendo, but it's possible the patch will be denied because it exceeds the size normally permitted.
Rime interests me when it was, I guess, when it first came to like the other platforms, but it was one of those like, oh, I will wait and see it on
was
Switch.
like it was revealed for Switch, you know,
Yes.
like in April or May or something,
Mhm.
but didn't come out until December or November.
Yeah, pretty late. And especially because it had been out on Xbox One and PlayStation and whatnot.
With kind of middling reviews.
Kind
Not
of middling
bad,
reviews.
but just like,
yeah, but I mean, you know, I don't always need to play a perfect game. But then when it came to Switch, I guess it had a lot of performance problems, frame rate drops and clipping and stuff. So it's cool to know that they, you know, are working on a solution for it. And maybe a little bit weird that they're like, we have a fix. I don't know if Nintendo will let us do it.
Well, I feel like NBA Playgrounds ran into the same issue where, you know, they were submitting, I think we even had a news story where they had submitted a patch to Nintendo, but it was bigger than Nintendo usually allows. And then we didn't hear anything for a long time. And I think what they ended up doing is just a couple of weeks ago, they released like entirely new version of the game on the eShop.
Oh, weird.
In fact, possibly even like replacing the old version called NBA Playgrounds Enhanced Edition, and included like all the fixes and everything. So it makes me think that was their workaround to having like an enormous patch.
So if there's a workaround, shouldn't Nintendo just be like, yeah, okay, give us your big patches?
Well, I mean, I think the workaround is creating an entirely new like SKU, basically.
Sure.
Which I'm sure works different than the patch system.
So why do we think this is? Why do we think Nintendo's got this like limit on patches? You think that's just to like?
I think it's like a I think it's a bandwidth thing. I think it's similar to in the 360 era, the Xbox had limits to how big patches could be, and the limits were very small. And so patches on the Xbox 360 would download almost instantly because they were like megabits or megabytes big.
Oh, really?
Compared to I don't know the PSN has ever had those limits, and so the patches could be much larger. But that puts all the onus on the person who owns the software, right? Versus in theory, if you're limiting the size a patch could be, then developers have more of an incentive to create a finished product and put that out first. I think that's the idea behind it.
Right, but I mean, that's just obviously not the world we live in anymore. Like, games aren't done when they're done. Everything that's come, I mean, that's been like the strategy for Splatoon and ARMS, like big Nintendo games that like they know they're going to continue to add to them.
But that's different though, because every time there's a new item or a new stage introduced to Splatoon, I don't think Splatoon 2 updates. I think a lot of it is done server side.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think only balance patches have to be downloaded for something like Splatoon 2. You're absolutely correct that it's not the world we live in. I mean, think of the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
You know, for the Xbox One, when that launched, it was an absolute disaster. And if there had been patch limits, it just wouldn't have been possible. And if Nintendo wants to, continue to position itself as a modern, fully, like
you can say functional,
like functional, like alternative, for third parties, then I think, again, you're right. That is the world we're living in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is Nintendo's intention with having patch size limits, but I think that was the thinking for Microsoft back in the day.
Right. Finish your game.
Is it Genyo?
Takeda? I'd say Genyo, but what do I know?
Genyo Takeda is being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at next month's DICE Awards, presented by the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. Takeda spent over 40 years at Nintendo working on such franchises as Punch-Out and Star Tropics, but he's probably best known for his work in hardware. Him and his team developed the N64, GameCube, Wii U. He's like a Nintendo rock star.
Well, good for him then. That's a pretty cool resume.
Yeah,
man, that Star Tropics bit.
The rest of it,
whatever.
I mean, the Wii U. Is there a new Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Team Racing game in development?
Who knows, Mark?
Possibly this year.
This is another kind of mystery. This is a wormhole that we're going down here.
So this year's SXSW Gaming will
South by Southwest.
Yes, will feature a panel from Sonic Team entitled "Gotta Go Fast," the official Sonic the Hedgehog panel, which will include a world-exclusive look at what comes next for the fastest blue hedgehog. The panel is scheduled for March 16th. Simultaneously, British toy company Zappies, who produced a number of toys for Sonic and All-Stars Team Racing Transformed, mentioned the new kart racing game currently in development at some toy fair in Germany, at like a city that I will never be able to pronounce.
So I guess not a surprise that a new Sonic game would be in the works. Obviously, Sonic Mania was a big success for them, and I guess people are buying Sonic Forces and borrowing my copy, so it's at least a mild success there. And kart racers are super. Did you ever play Sonic and All Stars?
Only the smallest amount.
Yeah, I
Like, never unlocked Danica Patrick or whatever the deal was.
Oh, you gotta at least get to Danica Patrick. That's when the game like crosses over from like just the normal level of like Sonic All Stars weirdness to like what is going on here. We're like, I've got a normal an actual human being, a real person in this game. It's okay. I mean, it's a pretty good kart racer. Although I feel like most kart racers end up being pretty good. I think it's just a good genre.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm trying to think of like really bad kart racers.
Right.
And I think I just like them all.
All I'm really interested in is Sonic Mania 2.
Oh yeah? You think we're going to get a Sonic Mania 2?
No, I don't. But I think that that's the only other Sonic game that I would buy. Infamous Donkey Kong player Billy Mitchell is the latest record holder to have some of his high scores come into question. Donkey Kong Forums has removed 3 of Mitchell's high scores after analysis showed that he misled the community about playing on real arcade hardware and that he instead was playing on emulator. Mitchell has not verified his gameplay using alternate methods, but he does have a witness by the name of Todd Rogers. Of course, if that sounds familiar, it's because Rogers had high scores of his own removed last month for the Atari game Dragster when he submitted a score that is technically impossible. Oops. So, absolutely innocent until proven guilty.
In a court of law.
So get him!
Yeah, this is the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Billy Mitchell, one of the subjects of the documentary King of Kong, which is great. It used to be on Netflix, I think. I wonder if it's still available somewhere. It's got to be available somewhere.
Directed by the director of Horrible Bosses.
There you go. King of Kong is really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
And tracks 2 Donkey Kong players as they go back and forth for high score in the game. And Billy Mitchell in particular he's a character.
Yeah.
It's safe to say. It has got like this nerd swagger like you wouldn't believe. And has his own line of hot sauces. Yeah. So like he's a guy that like you kind of want to see fail. So like this might be a little bit of a blood in the water kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but we're circling.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Because we feel invested.
We're the sharks.
We feel invested in this for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. We played Donkey Kong a little bit.
Get
once.
him.
Get him. Playing with an emulator. Do we know what the problem is with that? Just means that his gameplay footage could be manipulated or whatever in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's just on an arcade cabinet that's a more trustworthy source, or at the very least, that's records are submitted in different categories as either emulated or on arcade machine. And why would you say it was on arcade machine if it's actually emulated unless you were hiding something? What did Billy Mitchell know, and when did he know it?
Checks. Yeah, we just want to know the facts.
That's it. We just want to know the facts.
Yep.
I don't think we're asking unreasonable things here, Mark.
Me either.
Also, it should go then without saying that our teaser at the top of the episode, Mark, you have not been accused of cheating at Donkey Kong.
Not that I know of.
No, as far as I know, you have not played that much Donkey Kong.
Never in the arcade, as far as I'm aware.
There you go.
Finally, in a developer video, Nintendo confirmed that Toad is not wearing a hat. The mushroom part is, in fact, his head.
Now, Mark.
I mean, I don't know.
I feel like this goes without saying. Don't you?
I can't remember where we came down on this because we had a news article we had a news item about this previously.
Here's the thing. If in Super Mario Odyssey, right, when you encounter the music Toad,
yes,
I guess spoiler for late game Odyssey because he doesn't show up right away. He's wearing headphones, and the headphones are on they're on the mushroom.
This is also true of Super Mario Run.
Yes, you're right. So like either if that's a hat, he's got headphones on the outside of an enormous hat. So that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Have you ever seen a Toad wearing a hat on top of his mushroom head? The answer is yes.
Yes, you have. Yes. You have in fact seen this. I mean, let's also remember though that Mario canon is real loosey-goosey.
Yes.
You know, so somebody's head today might be their hat tomorrow. And
That's
before
right.
you know it, you're the Koopa Kids. And you've been, like, cut out of the will.
Absolutely. You're the Koopa Kids. You're the Koopalings. You have a different set of names, as they did in one of the animated series.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking about this before the show, but since the introduction of Cappy, what even is a hat anymore?
Yeah.
They could be a spirit little creature thing. No one knows.
There are a bunch of weird little tidbits from these interviews, including Koizumi stating or claiming that there is something in Odyssey the players have not yet discovered.
Yeah, the question is posed like, is there something in the game that you thought would be easily discovered that players haven't yet? And Koizumi says, I mean, this is translated, of course, so who knows what, you know, the actual intention of his words are. But he says something along the lines of like, yeah, we put something in there. And I don't want to spoil it, but there's something there. Which, like, what does that mean? There's a lot of stuff in the game. He doesn't know what I've experienced, right?
Right. As far as we know.
As far as we know. Mark, what do you think that is? What do you think Koizumi has hidden from us?
Oh, I don't even know. I mean, there was a developer who worked on Splatoon 2 who like teased a similar thing, and it ended up being like a tiny fragment of a like metro ticket that was embedded in a ground texture somewhere that like had his name on it. So
all right. Nintendo developers, let's raise the bar on what we think is like an Easter egg,
or just like temper expectations.
Yes, be like, hey, there's this surprise in here no one's noticed. It's not a good one. Just so you know, it's not a good surprise.
So like, I hope you find it, but also just like know that your only reward is going to be me saying yes.
Right. And I probably won't even smile that much when I say it. It'll be a begrudging yes, you found my last surprise.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mark, let's move out of the news. And that is actually going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, if you could share our episodes and rate, review, and subscribe, all of that good stuff on Apple Podcasts. All of that helps us out a ton, and we certainly appreciate it when y'all do that. Here's something we should have mentioned at the top of the show. Later this month, / maybe the beginning of March, we're going to be ranking the dungeons from The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. Thank you. And, you know, Mark and I remember this game pretty well, but we sure could use your input. What do you remember about those dungeons? What are your favorites? What are your least favorites? Help us rank these things. You can send that to us just by emailing us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter. We are at NinCart Society. The Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can find more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, I'm not sure Mark's ever played Donkey Kong. Though I wouldn't put cheating past him. Thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?